Why is it that all the stuff that we love to eat is usually bad for us? Let's face it, a lot of us have a sweet tooth, but we all know that sugar is probably not the best thing for our bodies. But can we still make really delicious snacks and desserts
using only sugar replacements?
That's what we're gonna find out today. Healthy eating is extremely important, but if you're someone like me who finds happiness through food, it's also as important to find balance, and that means letting yourself indulge from time to time. Now, I'm not on keto or low carb or anything like that, but one thing I've always been very conscious of is making sure I don't have any added sugar to my diet. Today I'm gonna be showing you how to make a burnt Basque cheesecake and some chocolate chip cookies with 0 sugar involved. I'll be using Equal Gold sucralose, which is a 0-calorie sugar replacement that has all the sweetness without the carbs and calories. More importantly, it also has the body that would be required for baked goods. The second one is Naturals Stevia, which is a 0-calorie sugar replacement made from stevia leaf extract and tastes and bakes just like sugar. Let's get cooking.
Let's start with our cheesecake. This is one of the easiest recipes you will ever do, but it looks more impressive than a regular cheesecake. Preheat your oven to 220 degrees Celsius. Start by mixing 1 kilogram of cream cheese with your Equal Gold. Do this slowly to make sure that everything becomes one coherent consistency. Once smooth, start by adding your eggs one at a time, giving time for each egg to incorporate fully before adding the next one. Finish with just your yolk. In a small bowl, whisk some flour and cream together. This goes into the cream cheese mix on low with some vanilla extract, salt, and lemon juice. Grease a 9-inch cake tin with some butter and then your first layer of parchment paper. You'll see that it comes out short on 2 sides, so to cover these parts, grease the first paper and then add the second layer of parchment paper. Make sure you have enough paper height all around. You'll need about 3 inches to be safe for the rise of the cake while cooking. Cut off anything extra. Pour the mixture into the tin and place this in the oven. We're gonna cook this for about 45 to 60 minutes until the top is dark brown, not dark black, but still jiggly in the center. Now I'm giving you a time frame simply because I don't know how quickly your oven distributes heat, so it's really important to just check on this from time to time. It's very tempting to eat this right away, but if you were to cut it, it would go all over the place. I try and rest this for at least 3 hours, so it's nice and set yet still soft in the middle. Once you put this in the fridge, the center part will solidify ever so slightly, so I really prefer to eat this at room temp. For our cookies, it's also a very simple recipe. Preheat your oven to 175 degrees Celsius, mix 2 tablespoons of melted butter with 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and 4 sticks of our Naturals Stevia, and an egg until smooth in a bowl. Add 1 cup of almond flour with half a teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda, a pinch of salt, and half a teaspoon of xanthan gum. Xanthan is optional and usually used just for texture. When you're making baked goods, especially gluten-free keto ones, usually the texture will differ greatly from what you're used to. Gluten is what gives the sweets we love the texture we crave for, so xanthan helps in this respect. Toss in your chocolate chips. Roll the dough into 8 balls and then flatten them slightly on some parchment paper. This step is very important. Since we are doing sugar-free and gluten-free cookies, they won't spread under the heat like regular ones. So the shape in which they go in the oven is more or less their final shape. Bake these for about 10 to 20 minutes depending on how much color you want to give them and how chewy or hard you like them. I personally like my cookies on the harder, crispier side, basically making the perfect cookie to dunk and soak up some milk. So I tend to leave mine in slightly longer.
Moment of truth, let's taste both of these desserts. They look absolutely amazing. Let's start with the cookie. I'm gonna tease you slightly further on the cheesecake for a little bit. Obviously, when using sugar-free substitutes or sugar alternatives rather, there is a trade-off in terms of texture. Here especially, the biggest trade-off that we did was actually not the sugar. It was the flour that we substituted completely for almond flour. So you do get a cookie that is slightly crunchier, less moist, because you don't have all that gluten to make it really cakey and moist, but it's still a delicious cookie. What I love the most about this is Stevia usually has kind of like a well-pronounced flavor. But here, if you were to give this to me, I would definitely think that there's real sugar in this, which for me is a win. I'd dunk this in some milk. It'd be really good. What I love and what I achieved, which I think is a win, is this. You see how there's kind of like a part of it that's almost flowing over, which means the center stayed nice and kind of like, not liquid because it's not liquid, look, it's not falling all over, but it's still really jiggly, which is exactly what I wanted. So I'm gonna cut into this. It's gonna be really like luscious and soft. Let's try it. Should we do it? Let's do it. Look at that. It's everything you expect it to be in all the best ways. It is so rich because obviously of all the cream cheese that's in there and the cream, and it doesn't feel healthy, which I think is amazing. Obviously, you know, it's still not a healthy dessert, but because we've removed the sugar, we've definitely and drastically reduced the amount of calories that we have in here. And I think if you were to remove the 36 grams of flour, I think this dessert actually becomes keto, which is quite amazing. So you have a cheesecake that's like close to 0 carbs. When I think about it now, it's incredible because when you taste it, it's sweet, it's luscious, it's delicious, it tastes like dessert, but there is 0 sugar in there. That wraps up our 2 no sugar, extremely low carb recipes. If you guys like those recipes, please make sure you try them. And if you do, tag us on your social media posts and use the hashtags I'm about to tell you about now.